kailangan din namin sa probinsya. Especially we have the island of Boracay na malaki yung economic activity at yung binibigay din na binabalik sa national government natin. So, January 3 pa kami no, na nung nangyari ito ng January 2, January 3, tumatawag na sa amin yung mga stakeholders in Boracay na hindi na nila kaya yung mga generators nila. Hindi na kaya na ma-supply ng yung mga sarili nilang mga establishments. So we have to ask no, our local cooperative, that is the Aklan Electric Cooperative. And nagsulat kami to NGCP na mabigyan sana kami no, ng kahit konting supply lang para at least no, mabigyan ng power na yung Boracay. And in the neighboring town especially, we also have a busy airport in the Caticlan International Airport. So, January 4 pa po no, na fully restore yung power sa Boracay pa lang yun. And yung isa po namin na-experience, especially sa NGCP, is wala po silang proper coordination po, especially to the local government. There's no communication po sa amin na na-establish on how, why, and when yung mga nangyari po sa blackout. So, especially for me, no, as the governor, maraming nagtatanong, maraming nagrereklamo. So, we cannot properly address those issues, problems, dahil yung tanggapan po ng NGCP ay hindi po nagko-coordinate properly sa amin. So, first, no, yun po yung isa po na pwedeng magawa po ng NGCP, especially with our local government, na sana, and I hope na hindi na po mangyari. But in terms of emergency power crisis, I hope na makabigay po sila sa amin ng updates, no? Para at least alam namin yung gagawin, yung together with our local electric cooperative, kasi kami po, at least po napaprioritize po namin yung supply kung saan pupunta sa hospitals namin sa Boracay. So yun po yung may importante talaga na na-supplyan namin during the crisis. So I hope no, na these issues will hindi na po mangyayari ulit. Kasi same sa problems po namin sa mga kababayan namin na they suffered enough with these blackouts, and kawawa po yung especially yung marginalized sector po namin na talagang sa electricity po nag-gain po ng mga activities po namin and industry. So again, thank you po and good morning.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Flores, Province of Aklan. And last but not least, can we hear from Honorable Art Defensor, Province of Iloilo?
Morning, Mr. Chairman, and to the honorable members of the committee, as well as the power sector. Thank you very much for this immediate hearing. Iloilo, together with Region 6, we are here to plead for an immediate solution to the problem. It has happened before, last April of 2023. It happened last week, and it will happen again. For Iloilo and the rest of Region 6, two things. We are here to plead for the perfection of the management of the national grid, its protocols, and their execution. The completion of vital infrastructure like Phase 3 of the Cebu-Negros Panay backbone, together with the substations and other facilities. Kung hindi po ito magagawa, agad-agad, mauulit yung blackout. Because, Mr. Chair, we all know that machines really fail machines really need maintenance and rest. Whether it is a microwave oven or a nuclear power plant. What is important is that the grid should be able to withstand the trips, the anomalies, and the disturbances, and will continue functioning. Physically and management-wise. Importante sa amin na may mananagot. Pero mas importante sa amin, yung agad-agarang solusyon. Time is of the essence. If the grid continues to be weak and vulnerable, the blackout will happen as a matter of natural course. A national grid without a backbone is not a national grid. We have to give it another name. A national grid with an unfinished backbone is a very weak national grid. So again, Mr. Chairman, for Iloilo and the rest of Region 6, two things: the perfection of the management of the national grid and the completion of vital infrastructures like Phase 3 of the Cebu Negros Panay backbone together with other facilities and substations. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning.
Thank you, Honorable Defensor. Nakalungkot talaga. But definitely, this committee hearing, hanapin natin yung solusyon. There were recommendations made. The recommendations made last hearing. I think there's also an interim grid management committee recommendations that the recommendations were given by the IGMC. I like good flow of presentations here. I'd like to start with the NGCP first, then we go with the DOE, then we go to the ERC, and then we go to the other resource persons. I hope you can give just a brief for NGCP, what really happened. I don't know if the other resource persons will also give their side or their story of what happened. So, while the resource persons are explaining, I'd like to ask our members to refrain from questioning first and reserve your questions during the interpellation. So to start, can we hear from, I guess NGCP should start?
Good morning to all.
Yes, good morning.
I'm Anthony Almeda, and Clark will do our presentation, and Mark have to beside me. I'd like to request, Mr. Chairman, if I can make a 1-minute statement.
Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to all, to our Honorable Congressman Jordan Velasco, Chairman of the Committee on Energy, distinguished committee members, governors, DOE, and ERC, fellow resource persons, and guests. We are grateful for this opportunity to present the facts called from our system records regarding the widespread power interruptions in Panay Island on January 2, 2024. We will also take the opportunity to explain the intervention we undertook during this period. We adhere to the data and protocols explicitly outlined in our Philippine Grid Code. It is important to emphasize that we handle the system in compliance with the rules and using resources at our disposal during that period. Of course, I am with Ilongos and all of you here that what has happened. Of course, the Governor Defensor that I've seen. For my part, we do our best to do our job on what's happening. And of course, we reiterate our call for inclusion of generation planning and the resource assessments in formulating the country's energy development roadmap. We support the green energy initiative of government, but we ask the green baseload technologies like baseload nuclear be explored. We want to be part of the solution, but NGCP cannot do it alone. We need the cooperation of stakeholders and the whole of government to ensure the stability of transmission services that will support the reliable power supply for Filipinos. We need generation, plus us transmission and distribution, power in and power out. Again, thank you very much for your time. God willing, together, we will find a solution. And governors and I'll make my rounds, and if any that I have not, our company hasn't made our rounds on companies, my apologies also. Anyways, good morning, and Lady Clark can make our presentation. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Almeida. Can we ask Mr. Clerk Agustin to already present?
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the committee. Thank you. Please allow us to present our data regarding the January 2 incident, hoping to provide more clarity on the event. So, as background po, for Panay, Panay grid has a unique configuration. So, it is connected to the rest of the Visayas grid through Negros. We have a Panay Negros link. Presentation, please. Second slide. Yes. Can we play the slides, please?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, can we adjust the sound effect? Baka po kasi kawawa naman po yung nagpe-present. Baka there are the people who can present. Are you sick? Do you have problem with your or
Okay po.
may problema ka sa ano mo sa
Ngayon lang po, pero okay naman po.
kasi
I'm okay to present, sir.
No, I mean, with all due respect with him, Mr. Chairman, baka naman he's trying his best to explain, but you're having a hard time. We can allow siguro other people to explain it right. Baka kasi hindi mo kaya, and we are having a hard time also to understand what you are trying to deliver. But it's in the prerogative nature. Pero kung kaya mo, sige, go ahead.
No, if let's ask Mr. Clark to present. If the members couldn't understand what he's presenting, if we can ask NGCP to ask someone else to present. Mukhang na-strain na yata na todo ang boses ni Mr. Clark kahapon sa Senate. Pabigyan lang ng hot water para baka maayos-ayos ang voice. But I guess he's the person presenting because siya yung talaga nakakaalam. So that's why, let's see na lang, if you can't understand it, then we ask NGCP to
If I may, Mr. Chairman, is he the guy coming from the Visayas system operator?
Ikaw ba yun sa SO sa Visayas?
No, I'm from the National Systems Operations. So,
Is he around yung BSO ninyo? Is he around?
visit BSO.
Yes po. O, baka...
Nito na Honorable Fernandez, if I'll try to check that later if any of you tells me that you can't understand what he's saying, then we'll ask someone else to present. Okay?
No problem, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Sir, moving on. So, yun nga po, Panay has a unique configuration. It is connected through the rest of the Visayas grid through the Negros Panay link. In terms of generation, installed capacity is around 670 megawatts, most of which come from the 4 big plants, the coal plants, PEDC 1, 2, and 3, with a capacity of 83 megawatts and 150, and PCPC at 135 megawatts. Around 70% come from the big plants. And the demand for Panay peaks with a range of 400 to 460 megawatts. So prior to the incident, the grid was in normal condition. Panay PEDC Unit 3, the 150 megawatts, is on maintenance outage. So our demand during that time at around 12 noon prior to the incident is around 400 megawatts. The generation is 361 megawatts only. So meaning the difference is coming from, is being supplied by our Negros Panay link. So, at 12:06, PEDC Unit 1, capacity is 83 megawatts, but during that time, it is loaded at 63 megawatts straight. Upon flipping, syempre, we will have some temporary excursions in system parameters, but eventually recover almost instantaneously. So what happens, yung generation supply natin from 361, nabawasan, almost 300 na lang. The difference will be coming from the increased flow for our Negros Panay Lake.
Sorry, please continue.
Okay. Sige po. So, what we did, we monitor the system based on our data. All parameters in terms of voltage, frequency are within limits, no overloaded transmission lines, operating margin is sufficient. So we did our normal dispatch process. And then our coordination with PEDC Unit 1, they told us they will be coming back online within 2 to 3 hours. However, before 2 p.m., they gave an updated message that they will be coming back later at 1700 or 5 p.m. Forward, please. So this is the actual voltage profile at Panay from 12 noon to 14:19. So as we can see, the dash lines and the upper and lower are the upper and lower bounds for normal voltage. So the data shows that the voltage was within the limits. Not only the voltage, we have data on frequency and we have calculation that the operating margin during that time to show that the system was normal. However, at 14:19, forward please.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all the honorable members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Chair, we would like to start with the presentation on our side on the sequence of events, followed by the assessment of IMAP on what their observation was, and TRANSCO being the transmission corporation, the government, sir. We're trying to present this as objectively as we can so that the members can assess properly and constructively. Mr. Chair, first to present, Mr. Chair, is ASEC Mario.
Yes, Asek Mario, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all honorable congressmen present, as well as our honorable officials of the local government unit and all the attendees. I would like to present the collection of the Department of Energy on the different timelines and sequence of events that has happened in Panay Island from January 2 to January 5. So as you can see here, before 12 noon of January 2, the electricity services in Panay and Negros are okay, no problem. As far as the incident that has happened by 12:06, when in PEDC coal-fired power plant unit 1 this was reported to us that this is due to boiler pin pump issue. So this is an internal concern of the power plant. It took us 2 hours to realize that there are additional happenings in the event in Panay and Negros. While we try to gather much of the information, kulang po kami sa information. We need to really revert to the concerned entities. Primarily because, after the Panay incident in April, under the guidance po ni Yusek Shadow, nag-create kami ng Viber group so that we can monitor what is happening in Panay Island every 30 minutes. Unfortunately po, during this day, we received the report as of 10 o'clock in the morning. But after 10 o'clock, there was no report.
Sorry, Asek Mercy. You received the report at 10 o'clock in the
We
morning
received
the
a
next
report.
day?
No. 10 o'clock, on that January to 10 o'clock, we still have the report.
Okay.
Everything is stable. However, the next report that we received was already at past 3:30 on the same day, wherein the multiple tripping has already happened.
But before that, daily you get reports?
Yes, sir, every 30 minutes.
Every 30 minutes?
Yes. So even yung wee hours in the morning we receive. So we have to request NDCP to repost or make the posting of what has happened from 10:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So wala pa po kami information. Based also on our coordination with the electric cooperatives, wala din po silang information. Until po nangyari yung 2:19 p.m. event na nagkaroon na ng almost simultaneous tripping of the power plants. Next slide, please. So matitignan po natin after 2 hours, another hour happened and then yun na nga po, nagkaroon na ng total tripping including the Negros Panay interconnection. Totally po na-isolate na ang Panay Island. And past 3 minutes pa po, saka po nag-declare na ang system operator natin na market intervention for Visayas. That is at 3:10 p.m. Then, of course, naasahan naman po natin and after another 14 minutes, na-restore na po yung operation ng ating Negros Panay interconnection. Of course, kasunod na po niyan yung mga event like yung yellow alert po, na declaration later that night, na-declare na po. And then, since restoration naman immediately follow, so by 11:45 po on the same day, nakapasok na po na energize na yung PEDC Unit 2. PEDC Unit 1 came early in the morning of January 3. And we continuously coordinate with other generating facilities. And feedback from PCPC, sabi po, nagto-troubleshoot pa sila ng kanilang auxiliary units. Pero they already set that the target of energization, since kahit po January 3 pa lang, nag-declare na sila na ang target nila is 10 to 12 of PM of January 4. Having encountered problems nga po doon sa kanilang restart. I highlighted also the operation in Guimaras, Gimelco, kasi sila yung pinakamalapit sa linya. They got the full power po by 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the evening of January 3. But the following day, they were also advised to have also, they have to undertake manual load traffic kasi kahit meron ng full supply, NGCP has to allocate kasi hindi pa stable yung grid. So the other sequence of events here that I present in my succeeding slides, particularly in January 4, was more on the restoration process. So these are the day na kung saan po ang instructions coming from NGCP is regarding the allocation of capacities for each distribution utilities and electric cooperatives and the conduct of the manual load traffic. So kagaya po na nabanggit kanina ng ating kagagalang na gobernador sa Aklan, they requested prioritization kasi nga po, they have to really energize in full yung Boracay. And they also recognize po yung mga vital installation po natin like government hospitals, yung po mga government facility, plus the airport. Kasi alam po natin kung ano yung major economic na nangyayari doon sa Aklan. Then, we continuously follow up po kung ano yung restoration efforts ng PCPC kasi we do understand that 135 megawatts is really needed to complete yung full restoration ng Panay. And report naman po ng PCPC, well, hindi nila binabago yung target nila, 10 to midnight of January 4. Next slide, please. So, ito lang po ang nag-highlight on January 5 na yung lahat nating mga electric cooperatives were advised to fully energize their system between 11:27 and 12:35 in the afternoon. We have also received communication from NGCP that at 11:33 they got words from PCPC that it is already operating at a stable condition. So, nalift na po yung system of yun ang system operator natin, yung market intervention. And na-reach po naman ng PCPC yung kanilang 135 megawatts full load at 12:49 in the afternoon of January 5. So yun po yung sequence of events na kinulate namin. We tried to get as much as information as we can. But yung pong mga mas detalye na rest na po doon sa ating mga concerned entities. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga.
Thank you, Asik Marisigan. Yes, Yusik Sharon. Can we hear from Attorney Nethercott from IMA?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the members of the committee. May I request, Mr. Chairman, that our CEO be recognized to make the technical presentation on our behalf, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, but before that, may I acknowledge the presence of Honorable Matiba. Can you please introduce yourself and start with the presentation?
Yes, Your Honors, I'm Robin Descanso, the Chief Operating Officer of
Please proceed.
Yes, my presentation, please. Presentation, please. Yes. Next slide po. Go straight. Okay, shown in the monitor, sir, is the map of Visayas, particularly showing the interconnection. So as you can see on the left side, nasa dulo po si Panay sa interconnection. So in terms of kung meron mga available surplus sa system, nasa dulo si Panay. So kakainin po ng ibang grid islands ang surplus bago makarating kay Panay. So pangalawa po is kailangan malakas yung interconnection, no? Na interconnecting Panay from the rest of Visayas. So it's also very important to note na with that condition po, kailangan may enough local generation from Panay to support the requirement ng Panay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so ito po yung na-monitor namin ng nangyari nung araw ng blackout. No? It started sa event number 1 at 12:05 local operating system, and the local generation coming from Panay is 355 megawatts. But the demand of Panay is 400, so the rest of the requirement is coming from the cable. And then 12:06, nag-trip po yung PEDC at nawala yung kinakarga niyang 56 megawatts. At the same time, Panay po. These are generators po embedded sa Panay. So nung nawala po yung 56 si Panay, nawala yung energy na palitan coming from the cable. No? So kung mapapansin niyo po, tumaas. Nagdoble halos yung karga ng Negros cable. But at the same time, nawala rin po yung voltage support na binibigay ni PADC sa Panay. Kaya nagkaroon po ng fluctuation sa voltage. No? Okay? So, and then nagpatuloy po yung condition na yun. Until sa 14-19, sumunod yung mga cascading trippings ng mga generators, no? Ayon sa mga discussion po, naunang nag-trip doon nung time na yon is Pan Concepcion, which is carrying about 135 megawatts. And the rest, malaki pa rin yung kine-carriage. Kaya nawala po kaagad ng 300 megawatts ang Panay. Nagsunuran po bumagsak ng mga feeders ng mga distribution utilities, and yun po yung nag-cause ng partial blackout. And then approximately about 30 minutes, no? Nawala na po tuluyan yung kable. So na-isolate na si Panay at yun na po yung blackout. Okay? So going back po sa event number 4 before the tripping ng mga sunod-sunod na planta, no? So it appears na may problema po yung system, no? And that 2-hour window from the first tripping ni PEDC hanggang doon sa successive tripping ng mga several plants, meron po tayong 2-hour window na very crucial ang decision ni ESO to ensure that the system will maintain stability and withstand the following contingency event, including loss of one generator. So dapat po yun yung palaging ginugwardiya ng system operator. At of course, mga posibleng nag-triggers po nung successive tripping yan is frequency issue, voltage issue, and loss of replacement power po. Yung lang po yung presentation namin. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Engineer Descanso.
Mr. Chair.
Wait, Yusek Sharon. No one's disputing naman na sequencing yung mga timelines natin ng events. Everyone's, all the same, no? DOE, IMAP, NGCP, pare-parehas lang naman eh. Yes, Yusek Sharon.
Next to present would be Transco because I'm was explaining about what should be have a system operator.
Yeah.
And Transco used to be our system operator, now it's been given
Yeah.
to NGCP. So Transco, please.
Yes, Engineer Linus, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, good morning, and the rest of the members of the Congress present here and their resource persons. So in the interest of time, I will not go through my presentation anymore, but deal with the critical responsibilities of the NGCP as the system operator and the transmission network provider. And related to the incident, the major responsibilities as system operators would be, one, to ensure that load generation balance is maintained at all times. Second, as mentioned earlier, ensure that grid voltage is maintained within normal limits. Then we have also this requirement from the grid code that the system operator should implement necessary actions during emergency conditions to maintain the integrity of the system and prevent system collapse. And in alert and emergency states, MLB can be allowed to avoid imminent voltage collapse leading to a system blackout. Also, we'd like to add that on the first tripping incident, likewise provided in the grid code, the system operator was not able to provide a significant incident report. Moreover, the NGCP as a transmission network provider, as defined in the Philippine Grid Code, shall execute instructions of the system operator to ensure power quality in the grid. Likewise, they should provide all grid equipment and facilities. And as such, we have identified several transmission projects that should have this been completed and implemented, the Panay blackouts could have been avoided. I would like to add further, Mr. Chair, that although this is just an observation and not in the grid code, that according to the system blackout simulation drill, black start restoration drill last March 23. In the table exercise, the system operator could restore power within 2 hours and 3 minutes. However, this did not happen during this incident. I will be more than willing to discuss other details as provided in the Philippine Grid Code should the members of Congress thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Linus. So, no other presenters from the Department of Energy? ERC? Yes. Can we hear from ERC? Chairperson Malanda? Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning to all the members of the committee, and thank you again for this opportunity to share our updates from the Energy Regulatory Commission. If you can share the slides, please. So as you all know, we are conducting an investigation on this incident, similar to the exercise that we did after the April incident. Your Honor, we constituted the Interim Grid Management Committee so that there will be a technical team. So this is not a group of of people that you can contest their technical capability. So they were the ones who studied the April incident. They're continuing their service to us with studying this incident. So what I will share with you, next slide please. Please go to slide 3. As we all know, the sequence of events is no longer, I think, is no longer disputed. But what we add here maybe are the reasons for the outages as reported to us. First by the GENCOs, because they are required under the ERC rules to report within certain time frame. First by SMS within 3 hours, and then within 48 hours by email or written communication. So based on our records, they were able to provide the reports within a few minutes of each of the outages. And you will see here that they have indicated we put value to these reports because these are almost instantaneous reports. These are fresh, not clouded yet by any defensive moves or similar actions, so to speak. But we put premium to that. So if we skip to slide 6, there are also reports that we get from NGCP, which are called the confidential daily operating reports or outage reports. There's a significant incident report that we also get. Then based on NGCP's version, these are the timestamps of the reports that we got from NGCP. In the next slide, you will see the reporting. If we go to slide 8, next slide, these are the rules that govern the GENCOs and what they should report. In this slide, let's stay here. This is the reporting obligation of NGCP. For significant incidents, they should report to us by SMS within 15 minutes and within an hour for the written reports, and then 2 weeks supposedly for the full written report of not only the occurrence of the incident but what they did during the course of that incident.
Sorry ma'am, what is significant?
Significant incident is defined.
How do you classify?
It's a specific term as defined in the grid code,
Yeah.
including the loss of a large generating unit is considered a significant incident.
How do you determine if the unit's large generating?
Defined in po under the
Grid code, which is how many percent?
In Visayas, it's not percentage, sir. It's based on the capacity. So in Visayas, anything above 5 megawatts is already considered a large generator.
And that's goes within significant.
Tama po.
Please continue.
So, if you note, for the outage of the PEDC unit, the first PEDC unit that went out at 12 noon, we did not receive a significant incident report. The first report that we got was already following the cascading at 2 p.m. Okay, so next slide. This is just to present the parameters by which we are conducting our investigation. What are the obligations of the SO and what are the obligations of the GENCOs in cases of, in these instances? The SO in general, under the grid code, has the obligation to operate and maintain the grid to meet power quality standards. And then what's relevant also in the discussions yesterday at the Senate is what do you do when it's already an N-1 condition, meaning a large load, for example, has already gone out of the system, especially if there is no system integrity protection scheme or SIPs. These are temporary measures. If the grid is not yet capable of is not yet meeting all the standards, you need to have a temporary protection system. What can the SO do in those instances? Under the grid code, the SO can undertake any of the following or a combination of the following. They can redispatch a generating unit. They can use voltage or power flow control on regulation transformers. They can reconfigure the network. They can do manual load dropping. They can also trip generating units. So these are the actions that we look forward to receive on the report of the SO in the course of our investigation. The next slides are also just the provisions of the grid code that are relevant in our investigation. We can skip to slide 16 in the interest of time. These are the obligations of the GenCos. The GenCos are responsible for ensuring that their units will not disconnect except on certain instances. And the GenCos are also responsible for executing the instructions of the SO during emergency condition. One issue that was discussed yesterday at the Senate was whether the grid was still at a normal state or already an emergency state at that period. We were not able to include the relevant provisions of the grid code here, but the grid code defines this is not a matter of interpretation, so to speak, or we come up with it on the fly. All those situations are defined under the grid code, including the conditions that would qualify for each. We can stop there, or we can, what we have in the materials which we have shared are also the recommendations after the April incident. There were almost 20 measures that were agreed to be undertaken then by NGCP and the generators and the DUs. And as of the November report of NGCP submitted to ERC, almost all the measures have been completed. So part of our investigation, Your Honor, is to see what is the impact of those measures that were reported to have been completed and have led to still this event happening. That means we need to do more work. We need to, were there items that we have missed during the April investigation so that we can avoid this from happening again. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Honorable
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may we ask for copies of the ERC presentation? None of us have it. Ideally, but if a soft copy would do
No, I
it,
think they just submitted it today, so I will ask Comsec to provide each member with a copy of the ERC. Thank you, Honorable Benitez. Yes, so we have the ERC, Finish, DOE, Transco, IMOM, NGCP. Can we now hear from the generation side? Can we hear from PEDC? If you have any statements? If not, yes, Mr. Caballo.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We will reserve our
During the interpellations. Can we hear from Palm Conception Power?
Chair and members of the committee, we have a presentation regarding the sequence of events that transpired to our PCPC plant prior and after the briefing. And our Mr. Lance Bautista here, our engineering specialist, will do the presentation, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please, Mr. Bautista.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and all of the honorable members of this meeting. So for the interest of time, maybe I'll just focus on the most vital parts of the presentation. Anyway, we will be providing, I think we've already provided in case other information are needed. So maybe we can skip to slide number or page 3. The next one, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So I'm not just sure if you can see all of the trending lines, but let me guide. So I want to start on the event number 1. So at 12:03, so part of for the timestamp. Actually, our timestamping in PCPC is around 3 minutes delay. So if we are going to align it with the NGCP's timestamp, we will be adding 3 minutes. So around 12:06, so PETC Unit 1 had a problem and went on offline. And then as we can see on the graph, with the reaction of our unit to support the grid stability, we are actually producing what we call MFORs, or this is what support the stability of the grid voltage. So as you can see, upon offline of PEDC unit number 1, we already supplied MFOR. As can be seen on the pink line, during that time. And also additionally, we were instructed by the system operator at that time to, I think this is what they call the manual intervention, I believe. So we were increasing actually manually also the NVAR supply to the grid. So we're actually helping more to be able to stabilize the grid. So nakikita naman po yung sa grid voltage. So although meron kami nakitang slight drop in the grid voltage, it was somehow stable or hindi siya ganun ka-fluctuation, mainly because of the production of our plants and bar. So yung nakafocus po dun sa rectangular area, this is actually the 2-hour time frame during the event. So we were, as you can see, we are steadily increasing yung NVAR support namin. We are continuously supporting the grid to maintain yung grid voltage within the Panay. Unfortunately, around 1419 or before 1419, we are actually in the instability levels na nung medyo sagad na po yung planta namin during that time because we are at full load, 135. And we're also supporting na rin yung grid with the NVAR. So, next slide. Maybe we can skip to slide number 8. Just a good note, I think this was shared also by our IMAP colleagues as well. Meron po talagang difference na ng margin or margin na tinatawag natin sa supply and demand. Although maybe NGCP din can explain further if this is on the normal range. But yun din yung medyo na naging observations namin sa site namin. So if you can skip on slide number 8. Next slide. So this is the chronological events, the mismong tripping na po ng unit namin. So 1419, since instability levels na po yung sa generator namin, is na-activate na po yung generator protection namin by loss of excitation. So during that time, we were still having monitoring na meron pa pong grid voltage by that time. So we have observed around 1427 na meron pa pong grid voltage. However, yung fluctuation niya is nasa 84 or around that level na really is a low value na for the plant. So around 1445, when the team was actually monitoring na medyo nag-increase na yung voltage to near the normal levels, we immediately started yung mga auxiliaries namin, mainly to provide yung cooling system for our equipment since maybe we can discuss later yung limitations dun sa planta namin. So we really wanted to restart yung cooling system namin for that what we call turning gear. And then at 1501, so we are starting the auxiliaries as we mentioned. Meron na ulit po kami na-detect na voltage fluctuations at 1506. And then the succeeding events po yung nabanggit kanina, as mentioned, yung total blackout na po ng Panay. So, ma'am, can we skip to slide number 10? So at 1508, doon na po nagkaroon ng grid total blackout. So again, yung mga newly started auxiliaries namin na supposed to be is, yun sana yung magpapaready sa amin ng unit namin is nag-trip ulit lahat. So nag-advise po yung local na NGCP substation sa amin at 1509 na isara na po yung circuit breaker namin sa site ng planta namin. Indication na yun, wala po talagang feedback power or black start capability yung unit namin at that time. So we can start any equipment during that time frame. So almost 40 minutes after, so 1547, doon na po nag-advise yung substation ng NGCP na we can resume since meron na po silang naibigay na feedback power. So immediately, ilang minutes lang po. Although we still observe slight fluctuations pa rin. Actually, yung normals natin 137, minsan gumagalaw pa rin siya during our monitoring sa plant side. So immediately around 1600 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we again restarted or we attempted to start yung auxiliaries namin again, giving priority dun sa cooling system ng plant namin. And then at 1632, unfortunately, maybe we can discuss later na lang yung limitations, is talagang nagkaroon na po ng problem yung isang auxiliaries namin na tinatawag na turning gear. Yun din po yung na-report namin sa ibang energy stakeholders na nagkaroon na po ng disengagement or deflection dun sa turbine shaft na tinatawag namin. Where hindi na namin siya mapaikot normally. Usually kasi dapat pagka nag-shutdown yung plant, usually thermal guns na may turbine is talagang dapat na maintain yung slow rotation niya with cooling water. Unfortunately, that time, since medyo matagal kami nawala ng cooling water, then nagkaroon ka ng blackout during 1508, is doon na po nagkaroon ng problema yung third gear na tinatawag namin. So hindi naman din po namin pwedeng pilitin na 5 kasi it might result to permanent damage na mas mahirap pong ma-recover from our side. So instead, yung usual na experience namin is we need to cool down the turbine 2 to 3 days before we can restart yung restoration ng facility namin. So actually at 17, meron din kami na monitor ng grid voltage fluctuations. So again, yung auxiliaries namin is nag-trip ulit. So back to zero ulit kami during that time. So next slide. So for the restoration timeline, the following day, January 3. So meron naman ng leak of power during that time as mentioned na rin ng ibang stakeholders natin. So we continued yung preparations namin sa plant. So from January 3 to January 4, we conducted yung mga conditioning ng aming mga parameters like water, oil, na usually nadi-disturb siya pagka medyo matagal yung offline ng unit namin. So by January 4, around 5:09, we started firing our boiler for pressurization. And then the following day, as mentioned po kanina, 1:21 early morning, start na kami ng turbine namin, and followed by synchronizing in the grid at 1:33 in the morning. And then, cold pump, yes po, cold pump ECDC. And then eventually, may minimum load na po kami ng 50 megawatts at 5:18 in the morning. And then we were able to reach a full load at 12:49 in the afternoon. So, yun lang. Thank you.
Is the presentation finished?
Yes, sir. We're done.
Thank you. Any other generation companies here from the Okay, let's proceed with the ECs. If any of the ECs would want to give a short statement, a brief statement. Yes, Attorney James also.
And good morning, Honorable Chair and honorable members of the House of Representatives. Our narrative report has already been consolidated in the report of the DOE, but on the part of the ECs, may we add for the record, Honorable Chair, that the shutdown of the Panay grid for the past 1 year happened not only twice, Mr. Chair, but thrice. First, in February of 2023, the cause is undetermined. It lasted only for 8 hours, so less than a day. The power was restored.
Sorry, Attorney Bolsomo, you're saying that in February there was a
There was
an incident already.
Yes. The Panay grid shut down totally in February 2023, Mr. Chair. That was the first. The second was April 27 to 29, the second, 2023. And the third is last January 2 to 5 this year, Mr. Chair. So there were 3 massive shutdown in the Panay grid within a period of 1 year from today. That is to make the record straight. And second, Mr. Chair, with respect to the incident last January 2, when PDC Unit 1 tripped, there was no communication whatsoever from the part of the grid operator to all the 10 electric cooperatives in Region 6. There was no demand control imminent warning that we have to reduce our demand within the minutes prescribed in the grid code. There was no instruction to implement manual load dropping, and there was no automatic load dropping by the system. And to clarify things, the grid operator, the EGCP, is providing for the under-frequency relay settings in our substations, so that in case of imbalances in the supply and demand in the system, automatically the predetermined substation in our among the distribution utilities would trip automatically. But none of that happened until there was a voltage fluctuation and then followed by total shutdown of the Panay subgrid, Mr. Chair. That is for the record. The ECs are the receiving end together with the private utilities, the DUs. We are the receiving end in the power system grid. However, we are not the passive participants supposedly. In fact, we are the ones facing the consumers and we are the ones paying for the entire cost of the operation and maintenance of the system. And we would like to bring this to the attention of the committee that for 2023 alone, the 10 electric cooperatives in Region 6 paid the amount of 971 million 421,608 and 28 centavos for ancillary services. These payments, these ancillary services are being paid by our consumers, whether utilized or unutilized. The purpose of ancillary services is to secure the integrity and security of the grid for any contingencies like this. But if the grid code has been followed, Mr. Chair, first, the grid should not have collapsed. And second, in the restoration part, given that the grid has already collapsed, the restoration process would not last for 4 days. Why? Because the ARC chair is here. Under the grid code, the contingency reserve requirement should be not less than the largest operating unit in the grid. The part of Panay, that is 150 megawatt, the PDC Unit 3. Given the required power of 300 megawatt to stabilize the grid, upon the synchronization of PDC Unit 1, the night after the incident, and the synchronization of PDC Unit 2, the following day, the next morning, there should have been more than enough power to stabilize the grid if the ancillary services have delivered as expected. So,
natin ba ng pasilyo? Kabalog, nasaan ba yung sila niya? Yung binabayaran niya? Bakit hindi yun na-activate? Hindi nga, kahit nasaan pero interconnected, hindi ba? Sorry, the ancillary service is being asked. Where is the ancillary service located? In Negros Island or in Panay Island? Sir Clark?
Pag kasi po sa ancillary services, yung ancillary services Visayas-wide, hindi po tayo per sub-grid. O yes, po.
So nagsisingil kayo para sa wala? Hindi yun ang ibig sabihin na sinabi mo eh.
During that time po, nung mag-trip si PEDC, ancillary...
Ito on record ha. 60 megawatts slated, Therma Visayas, 2 times 26, UPSI Toledo, both in Cebu, and 1 in Leyte. So supposed to be, they should be in service through the interconnection whenever something like this happens. So in short, they cannot provide ancillary services.
During that time po, meron tayong
I
regulating
don't care
reserve.
about what's during that time.
Sorry sir. Kasi
Because you are, so pwede ba pakisoli yung 971 million? Hindi naman pala pwede pakinabangan eh. Honorable Joey, if we can reserve it later, we already see the point. No, I understand already, but it might create a cascading of questions from the members and I don't know how I'll be able to handle all of you guys. So let me just finish the resource persons from their presentation and then we'll just go back to the question regarding the locations of the ancillary service. This would be the last.
Yes, Mr. Chair, because this is relevant dun sa elected ancillary services. Meron po kami sa bill namin na transmission charges. Amabot na yung alipisa. Saan na pupunta ang pera? Saan na anong ginawa niya? Yung pera na yun, may gagawin. Gusto natin malaman magkano how much yun na yun. Kasi sa bill namin, every time nagbabayad kami kasama yung transmission charges. Sigurado doon na sa coverage na kung saan.
Thank you, Honorable Baranda. So if the GM of Ilego is finished already with his statement and presentation.
Mr. Chair, just to make things clear, so under the grid code, may tatlo pong ancillary services supposedly. Na, di ba, we have the regulating reserve, we have the contingency reserve, we have the dispatching reserve. All these are intended to ensure the integrity and security of the grid, so walang collapse na mangyayari supposedly. And in case of restoration, the power will be restored in the shortest time possible. Hindi mag-last for 4 days. Kasi kami ang we are facing the direct accountability sa aming consumers on behalf ng entire power industry. And Mr. Chair, we would like to bring to the attention, of course, of the committee. Sa part kasi ng electric cooperative, we are non-profit service focus. So yung revenue loss namin, we have no means of recovering the same on behalf of the consumers. No, none. And the transmission cost may add sa sinabi ni Congresswoman Barunda. Correct me later if I'm wrong. This is demand side. Ibig sabihin, kahit na mag-shutdown ka ng isang buwan, we'll still be paying for this. That's the burden of our consumers. And yung sa amin lang kasi, Mr. Chair, we have conducted series of meetings with the AGCP, demanding full transparency sa information, which is actually required under the grid code. That they should establish a system of communication between the operator and the user. Sa lahat ng aspect ng operation po, sa load and demand, and then sa lahat ng nangyayari. But as things now stand, ma-inform lang kami, sir, after the fact na. So walang communication na nangyayari. And after following our technical meeting, last May, following the last April 2023 incident, we wanted to find out the root cause of the problem. Why is it that there is a simultaneous tripping? That is not the cause of the collapse of the grid. There is an underlying, there's a systemic problem underlying. Kasi theoretically, hindi magkaroon ng simultaneous tripping lahat ng mga generators natin. So we demanded the data from them, which is not shared, of course, publicly. But during the technical meeting, we demanded the technical data. And we, of course, made our own analysis and advanced our analysis on this. To be honest and frank, Mr. Chair, sabi na nga namin, yung mga engineers ninyo, they may have master's engineering, yung mga engineers din ng Madios, ganun din. So, being indispensable partners, why don't you share the information with us? For all you know, we might be able to identify the underlying problem and propose solutions. And we ask them, with respect to the increase particularly on this problem, there is the so-called oscillation, as shown, so-called fluctuation, ganon. Is there an instrument in the current grid infrastructure that could detect, that could manage and conduct the irregular frequency brought about and the weakening of the power system inertia in the grid brought about with increased penetration of renewable energy sources, particularly yung solar farms natin? Because they are emerging technologies. When our grid was formulated, wala pa ito. But they are creating problems. There are a lot of studies conducted years ago in the US, in Europe, and other parts of the world. And there are recommendations on this. Sad to say, we were made to understand wala. And according to the people from AGCP, one of the smart instruments that should have been introduced sa grid to manage effectively yung voltage fluctuation, yung M-bar problems, is the static bar compensator. Among the options, there are a lot of smart instruments in the market. Among this, one of the cheapest is static bar compensator. However, according to them, this is yet to be procured in 2025. But on the part of the ISIS, Mr. Chair, power security is a matter of national security. We wanted a sense of urgency in all the parties here. Because until the root cause of the problem is resolved, it would again be a matter of time, same statement na ibinitawan namin, Mr. Chair, no last April, it would be a matter of time again when the same incident would happen. Nangyari ulit. And then we wanted, of course, to determine if the report regarding the completion of the Cebu, Panay, Negros Panay interconnection is really progressing as it should. So our technical team from our ECs in Negros, Noneco, conducted visual inspection, and our technical team also in Aklan by Akelco. Kung ano ba talaga ang situation ng interconnection na ito. But sad to say, we have submitted a report with NEA, and I believe it was forwarded to the DOE, on the real progress on the ground. There are portions na wala talagang structures, and there are portions na structures lang, wala pa rin wire. So there may be underlying issues on this, but this is the real situation. Based on the assessment, Mr. Chair, the project is at most 70% completed. And it is supposedly to be delivered or completed by March of this year, supposedly December. Again, it's March. Again, the target. But we seriously doubt, Mr. Chair, if the project would be completed in March, given the current state of the implementation, Mr. Chair. On the part of the electric cooperatives, we do not want to blame anybody here. We wanted effective solutions. We wanted to contribute to the solution, supposedly. On the last January incident, Mr. Chair, if there was instruction from the NGCP, we would really comply, as we usually do. Wala pong pasaway sa distribution utilities. Lahat po ng instruction ng operator is seriously followed. At lahat po ng settings namin po sa substations namin are set by the NGCP. We cannot do away with that. So kung ganito yung regulations nila, we have to comply. And lastly, Mr. Chair, on the issue na nang-raise kanina ni Governor Nabat at Governor Miraflores, on the equitable distribution ng available power in case of situation like this. Kasi we have limited power, it was allocated sa iba't-ibang DIOs. However, there is no specific guidelines on how the grid operator should do this. Without the specific guidelines on how the available power should be equitably distributed, Mr. Chair, the grid operator cannot distinguish what is equitable distribution from what is whimsical. That's when I reklamo ibang DIO, kami, on the part of Electro 3, we maintain at the 30% level for several days. So ibang DIO, matataas. So we are not complaining on an unfair. No. What we are asking is that there should be equitable distribution. Hindi may ma-priorities tayo, hindi naman dapat equally. Katulad sinabi ni Governor Miraflores, yung Boracay, it is a center of economic activity. Should be given priority. Given. But there must be specific guidelines to govern situations like this. And we wanted that the grid code requirements, Mr. Chair, should be followed by all parties. Because following the grid code, this situation would have not lasted for 4 days, Mr. Chair. Because sa aming part, kami yung lahat ng sisi sa amin eh. But okay, that's the curse we have to face. Kami lahat ng reklamo sa amin, and we'll bear all the financial burden after the incident, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Balsomo. He touched on a lot of issues that I think could help our regulator and the DOE. Any other electric cooperative would want to give a statement? Yes, Philreca. Ms. Santos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we'll just make this brief. I think Attorney Balsomo has already discussed several concerns of the electric cooperatives. But for Philreca, we really strongly support the collective purpose of the resolutions. As mentioned, from 2023, there has already been 2 grid disturbances. And just for this January, another incident occurred. So these are the same electric cooperatives that have been affected, and the same member consumer owners. So I think, I don't know if NEA will be providing the data, but for January alone, 800,000 member consumer owners who have been affected. So for us, for electric cooperatives, I think they have already done all that they can do. They have conducted a rotational power interruptions to avoid a total grid system collapse. And they have, as mentioned, ang ECs po talaga ang sumasalulahan ng complaints and ayaw ng member consumer owners, and which we understand. And I think they have also provided the necessary updates and information, regular updates po to their member consumer owners. So for Hireka, we have submitted our recommendations, but we would just like to emphasize the following. One is yung fast tracking ng CNT project. Another is strengthening po yung ating regulatory oversight, and if possible, enforce yung accountability and penalties. And finally, maybe we could also consider the amendments po sa ating Filipino code. We would also like to, again, going back to, so as mentioned, yung total revenue loss po ng electric cooperatives for the whole power interruption is 92,529,551. So for electric cooperatives alone lang po yun, hindi pa kasama yung for the economic effect po dun sa buong Panay Island. So again, Mr. Chair, we submitted our position papers relative to this matter, and we look forward to the positive outcome for this concern. Thank you.
Yes, I think,
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Honorable Benitez.
Ma'am Santos, you were suggesting a review, an amendment of, I missed what you said.
For ERC po, yung grid code.
Yung grid code. Do you have specific amendments that you would like to submit to the committee?
Yes, we will submit our position paper relative to this na lang po.
Alright, thank you. Also, we have present today is just like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Carlito S. Marquez and Honorable Mayor Treñas. I think Honorable Marquez has a brief statement. Honorable Marquez. So while waiting for that, can I hear from the other ECs, if not?
Mr. Chair.
From more, yes.
Good morning.
Mr. Castro, yes.
Yes, sir. To the Honorable panel, good morning to everyone. Yeah, well, just in behalf of MORE, actually this was already taken up, and I aired this yesterday, and I'm sure we will still be talking about the unfinished projects of NGCP. No? And well, basically, I know that the committee is looking into the big mega projects of NGCP, like the CFP, and all the others. But I'd like to stress that if the 3x100 MVA substation, new substation in Iloilo, will not be commissioned by end of the year, that would actually render Iloilo a rotating brownout. Simply because of the load growth in Iloilo. However, well, I'd like to also submit it to the committee that NGCP committed to commission this by December 31, 2024. No? But I'd like to put it on record that if it doesn't come, well, we will have another round of outrage due to outage from the good mayor of Iloilo City, Mr. Chair. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Can we hear from Nea? I think Nea is here, Attorney Rosario.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of the committee, as well as to all the other resource persons present here. Good morning, everyone. The National Electrification Administration has gathered all the reports from the electric cooperatives on the ground, and we have forwarded the data and all the other information to the Department of Energy, which I understand had been incorporated in the presentation earlier made. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Reservi from NEA. I think lost the connection of Honorable Marquez. I think we have from the academy, we have Professor Ruan de Mundo from the UP College of Engineering. If you have a statement.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and everyone. I would be answering questions later on if there are, as I think I was invited in the context of I wrote the grid code in 2001 that was promulgated by the ERC, and possibility of discussing the incident relative to the grid code, I would be able to answer questions later on. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Professor Del Mundo. We also have another professor, Dr. Mahaling Rabago from the Ateneo de Manila University. Yes, ma'am, if you have a brief statement.
Yes, so I was also invited because we are also looking at the impact of outages and disruption in the grid. But of course, as we've heard, there is a not only inconvenience and immediate impact as we have experienced, but there's also a future impact of disruption like this. Not only, so that is a big impact actually in terms of attracting businesses in the region. As you have said earlier, it's not only the airports, but it's also the electricity that is contributing to the cost of doing business in the region. So if we're experiencing like this, how can we attract businesses in the future? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We also have Mr. Elmer Foro, the Secretary General of Bagong Alyansa ng Bayan.
Yes, Mr. Chair, sa kay COP na sa mga congressman namin at sa Iloilo at sa city at sa province at sa buong Panay, magandang umaga po. Yung sa akin po dito na pagpunta ay upang ipaalam din sa bading ito na yung isang malaking impact dito ay sa maliliit na tao. Lalo na yung mga MSMEs natin na walang kakayahan na bumili ng mga alternative power generators. At sila po yung nagtitinda ng isda, karne, mga frozen food, mga sidewalk vendors, mga public market vendors natin, yung maliliit. At maliban po doon yung mga manggagawa natin sa BPO, lalo na yung home base, ang dami nun. At sa mga estudyante natin na umaasa din sa mga internet. At alam natin na ilang araw na walang pasok sa hindi lamang sa Iloilo, pati sa buong Panay dahil sa brownout na ito. At alam din po natin na sa loob lamang ng halos wala pa isang taon, 3 beses na nangyari ito, paulit-ulit, yung pinagtataka natin hanggang ngayon nung lang nananagot. So sabi nga ng iba kanina, kailangan nating magtulungan, pero kailangan ding may managot dito. Sino yung sisingilin ng mga manggagawang na wala ng trabaho? Sino yung sisingilin ng mga maliliit na negosyante na bumagsak yung kabuhayan dahil sa brownout? So sino yung mananagot? Ito yung isang demand namin na maliliit sa bagay na ito. At syempre, dapat din tingnan natin sino ba talaga yung ugat ng problema dito. Nung ipinasa po yung IPIRA no, yung deregulation sa power industry, ang sabi po na rason dito ay upang maging maganda yung takbo ng power. Pero ito po yung nangyayari. So ang nais lang po namin dapat siguro ding reviewin yung IPIRA no, kung ano yung mga butas dito upang hindi na mapaulit-ulit yung problema dito. Maliban po doon, yung mga demands po namin para mabilis na, magkandak po ng malalimang pag-aaral kung sino ba talaga ang may sala at may dapat managot dito. Pangalawa, para ma-identify din po yung mga companies o mga corporations na responsible sa nangyayaring ito 3 beses halos wala pa isang taon. Pangatlo po, dapat din po i-compensate yung mga naging biktima rito. Sabi po ni Mayor, may 2 bilyon yung epekto doon sa city pa lang, pero tingin ko sa province kay Governor, mas malaki pa, mas malaki. Ibig sabihin, marami yung nagsakripisyo dito. So dapat hindi lang ibalik yung ibinentang hindi naman dumating, kundi yung nagiging apektado ng brownout na to, gaya na sinasabi ko yung maliliit na mga tao. Pang-apat din, dapat i-reconsider din, i-reconsider ng Congress yung pag-aralan din yung IPIRA law. Dapat tingnan natin yung yung problema doon sa policies natin tungkol sa power industry natin. At tingin natin na kailangan natin maghanap ng mga alternative power generators natin, pero hindi naman sana yung nakakasira ng kalikasan. Hindi yung mga malalaking dam, hindi yung mga coal-fired power plant na makakasira ng kalikasan. So tingnan din siguro natin yung mga alternative power generations na mas ecology friendly pa. Yun na po.
Thank you, Mr. Foro. We also have, I forgot, one of our generation companies at the GM of FFHC, Mr. Alisla. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and good morning to everyone, and good evening to the members of the committee. We're just a bit surprised at this invitation, but I think reading on the minutes of last August meeting, it was mentioned in the minutes that the power blackout in Panay actually resulted after the tripping off of our power plant in First Farmers. It's stated here on April 28 on the presentation of NGCP. While most of the plants were in restorative state, the First Farmers holding plant tripped, which resulted in the blackout on Panay Island. While the statements may say that we are the cause, we'd like to believe that we were the last line of defense at that time. I think the grid, we tripped because the voltage in the line was 8 kV already. Our line is 13.8 and we cannot handle it anymore. The plant is a cogen plant connected to a sugar mill. So when we are operating the sugar mill, we are exporting power. In this case, we are generating about 13 megawatt. We are exporting about 7. So during this time, we were operating. And when the power plant tripped, we continued to operate our own mill and our power plant, and we were producing sugar. I think at about within an hour we were able to go back. But again, when the power again, when the voltage again fluctuated, we again tripped. So just to explain that when we nominate our own generation of power and export, we try to comply with it. Again, on a general note, I think we also have some inputs in terms of how we will proceed with this. But the way I look at it, if we, looking at the report of NGCP as well, there are a number of plants don't shut down last January 2nd. And most of these plants are cogen plants in Negros. The ones in Victoria, the one in Hawaiian, the ones in Sonedco. They were all in shutdown because we were not milling during the time. No sugar cane was being delivered to our mill. So we cannot generate power. At this point in time, there is a potential for us to improve our generation and export capacity, but it is all dependent upon feedstock, fuel. And the fuel that we use is dependent on the supply of cane, because that is from the gas now. We're looking at, in our case, for instance, we can mix some fuel. Like from bagasse, we can mix certain, like wood chips and others. With that, we can extend our generation, and we can also, again, maybe on another note, after this incident of April, I think last June, we were given a new set of settings in terms of protection on the grid, and we are complying with that with NGCP. So that is all our statement. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Alisla from First Farmers. Yes, so there being no more resource persons who would give their presentation or statements, we may now open the floor for interpellations. May I suggest and request our members if they can limit their interpellations or their questions to 5 minutes, so as to be able to give everyone a chance to be able to ask their queries or questions. But before proceeding, may I acknowledge the presence of Honorable Guling. Proceeding, first on the list, we have Honorable Sergio Dago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But can I request for another 5 to make it 10? Kasi this issue is a very technical issue, although it has, of course, a huge financial implication. But the main issue here is very technical. So if the chair can consider granting me 10 minutes at least. Then
Honorable
if
Dugong, I would want to grant you 10 minutes, but we have so many members who are willing, or have their questions. I even put my questions off already as the last one to question. So if we can only limit it at 5, then we can do a second round. Thank you, Honorable Dugong.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, thank you and good morning. Good noon, everyone. I will just limit, babaguhin ko na lang yung line of questioning ko. Bakit po, Mr. Chair, wala dito yung SO sa Panay, sa Negros? Bakit po si Mr. Clark ang nandito? Wala po. Nandito po ba siya? Sir, can you answer directly? Kasi kung yung central office po ang ay kung legal to, hearsay po yung sinasabi niya. Ikaw po yung nandun eh. So, can we hear directly from you? Thank you. Sir, are you aware of the specific provisions of the Green Code na tinamaan po sa insidenteng ito? The specific provision of the Green Code that covers this incident.
Yes, we have provisions in the grid code, that's correct, Your Honor, and we're looking at some provisions there, such as 6234 and 6232, 6233.
Mali po yata. Baka saka lang kayo nag-aaral sa grade code nung nangyari ito. Baka sa first incident, hindi nyo pinag-aralan ng mabuti. Ang pinag-usapan kasi dito, iba doon sa sinasabi mo. Dagdagan mo ng 1. Hindi po, section 6 to, section 7 po to, nandyan si Propoli, mahiya tayo. I'm happy na nandito si Propoli kasi si Propoli ang magiging referee dito. Section 6 o section 7? Anong specific provision? Inansiran ko na yung sagot at tanong ko, section 7, but what particular or specific provision of section 7? 7 point?
Yeah, protection, Your Honor, 7 point, we have here 7.3. And also,
Yung protection mo ay part ng yan, no? Ang 7.6 po yung pinag-usapan natin dito. So, kung dito pa lang, Mr. Chair, I would like to emphasize na huwag tayong magpulahan dito kasi I travel sea, land, air just to be able to catch up. Today, I travel 2 hours from Siargao by sea, another to Anihan from Surigao City to Butuan by land, another 1 hour and 20 minutes by air from Butuan to Manila. Kaya gusto ko, hindi tayo magpulahan dito kasi dapat nakapahinga kami ngayon pero nandito tayo. So, nasusunod nyo ba po? Yes or no? Yung buong provision ng section 7.6 ng Green Code na pinaghirapan ni Propali.
yeah, for the section 7.6, Your Honor, this is about the check for 7.
Yung buong section
point of order.
7.6, Mr. Chair, yung buong section 7.6, mahaba po yung 7.6, kasama na po dyan yung ALD, MLD. Hindi nyo nagawa yung ALD dahil sinabi mo kanina protection, talagang protection. So yung buong 7.6 pa, nagawa pa na
Mr. Chair, point of order. We would like to check whether or not yung mga resource persons natin under oath na ba?
What's the point of order of the good gentleman from...
I'd like to check, Mr. Chair, yung resource persons free at the ticket.
We haven't taken a vote, so we'll be asking all the resource speakers to stand up. And we will be taking the oath of all the invited guests.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am emphasizing 7.6. Mr. Chair, dahil nandito lahat yung problema natin sa tatlong magkasunod na blackout, nasa 7.6 po yung problema. Dahil at the end of the day, I will not point my finger to anyone at fault. Sinasabi natin, Mr. Chair, na may penalty po yung may turo ng ERC. But I'm telling this body, Mr. Chair, ERC is not in the business of just collecting penalties. We are in the business of securing, we are, ERC's mandate, no, is to ensure, including DOE, is to ensure na wala pong ganitong mangyayari. Kahit paulit-ulit po nating put in jail yung nakapatay ng tao, hindi na po nabubuhay yung kanyang pinatay. That's the point I am raising. Kaya, at the end of the day, bottom line, I am recommending some amendment of the grade code. Prof, dagdagan na natin. Kasi may mga provision tayo na hindi sinunod, hindi in-execute, at mayroon tayong dapat idagdag na provision. Kanina, Mr. Chair, no, alam ko na magdidinay yung mga parties na involved. I am not here to argue anyone. Ang sinasabi ko lang, nakabase ako sa aking konklusyon, may mali po dito ang system operator. Kung titingnan nyo, properly can confirm this, kung titingnan nyo yung mga provision ng 7.6 ng kabuuan, dapat kasi magkaiba yung transmission service provider at saka system operator. Can you confirm that from Wally, Mr. Chair?
Sa kalakran po ng electricity industry sa buong mundo, Pilipinas na lang po ngayon ang practically magkasama po ang transmission operator at ang system operator.
Iyon po ang punto ko. The grid code was drafted, kaya kung babasahin mo, the transmission operator will inform the system operator. Naka-frame po yan na magkaiba. But in our case, kayo-kayo lang eh. Kaya pwede nyo hindi ipakita yung actual na data. Pwede ninyong, I'm not saying na ginawa nyo to. Ang sinasabi ko lang, pwede nyong i-doktor yung mga data para mapagtakpan yung mga kamalian, mga violation sa grid code. That's one point for the record, Mr. Chair. I'm recommending the review not only of our grid code, but yung franchise natin or yung ipira natin, talagang iwalay sila para walang takipan dito. Dapat magkahiwalay yung grid transmission system operator at saka system transmission service provider at saka yung ISO. Dapat magkahiwalay. At titingnan natin kung kakayanin ni Transco. Now, ibalik ko muna yung tanong ko sa ERC. Sinasabi ni ERC, magkakaroon tayo ng technical audit. My question is, mayroon bang kakayahan technically ang ERC? Nagtitingnan lahat yung transmission system, yung grid natin, at kanilang mapagtanto kung may mali, kung compliant sa grade code o wala. May tao ba ngayon, Sir Mona, ang ERC technical people na kayang tingnan yung mga protection natin na nakasaan sa grade code na very specific?
ERC?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yung huling technical audit po na ginawa ng ERC was in 2020. So, kaya naman po, pero through consultants, Mr. Chair. So, nag-engage ng consultant to do it. Internally, we don't have enough manpower to do it.
Yun na, Mr. Chair, ang punto ko. Kasi, magsasayang tayo ng oras kung ang line of questioning ko, paaminin ko talaga. Hindi talaga aamin eh. So, kaya, didiretso na lang ako, whether, sa may conclusion, whether you admit or not, mayroong pagkukulang dito sa system operation. Kaya ikaw ang gusto kong ano. Pero bago ko ibigay yung mga recommendation ko, kasi babalik ako airport eh. Wala nga akong namit na dala. So, ano man talaga ang nangyari? Bakit hindi nagkaroon ng ALD? Nung bumagsak yung isang planta, supposed to be section 7.6, magkaroon ng automatic. May problema ba kayo sa protection setting ninyo?
Yes,
at hindi nag-trigger.
NGCP.
Yes, Mr. Chair. What happened was we have actually UFR or the ALD protection. We have readings, special, and we even have SIPs along Negros Submarine cable. What happened was after the tripping of the multiple plants, it was followed by...
Mr. Chair, sorry no, I would like to cut you short. Ang pinag-usapan natin dito, yung first tripping po, hindi yung multiple. Kasi kung pag-usapan natin yung multiple, kung ibigay lang din sir yung oras, kahit 4 na oras pa tayo dito, mas marami kayong violation doon. So, dito lang sa first tripping, ako lineman ako. Ito yung poste. 7 kaming lineman. 7. Ngayon, ang bigat ng poste ay kinakaya naming 7. Natapilok yung isang lineman. Di babagsak kami lahat kasi hindi na namin kaya. That's the cascading. Yun ang kaso. Ang tinatanong ko rito, anong reaction ng system after bumagsak yung isang planta? Kasi supposed to be 7.6, may reaction yung ating and normally magkakaroon niya ng automatic load dropping. Bakit walang ALD?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the first tripping of PDC Unit 1 at 1206, the lowest frequency reported was only at 59.83 Hz, which is not enough to activate the UFR or the under frequency relay, wherein the first level was set at 59.1 Hz.
Can you set the specific setting ng protection relay? What is the specific setting of that? And saan siya located? Do you have with you the single line diagram of the Panay transmission system? Then, point to this honorable chamber. Saan niyo nilagay? In what portion? Ilang district ba yung Panay grid? Ilang district? Saan doon sa mga district yun nakalagay yung iskina ninyo? At saan nakalagay doon yung mga protection relay? That supposed to be triggers the automatic load dropping para hindi mag-collapse yung grid. That is how the grid code was designed by Quali. Na bago ka mag-manual, automatic muna. Kasi may natanggal na na planta eh. May natanggal na. Okay, saan? I-point out. Do you have the single line diagram? Dito makikita natin. Yung mga location na yan, ay tama ba yung location?
NGCP?
Hindi nyo may plus yung single line diagram. Wala kayong ano. Para makita talaga natin saan ninyo nilagay yung mga protection na yun. Baka na sa area ng Aklan yung problema, yung protection mo, nandito lang sa Bacolod, di magre-react yun. So saan? Single line diagram ng transmission.
Yes, Your Honor, unfortunately we have in the presentation material, what we provided was just the map of the entire Visayas. But if you want, Mr. Chair, we can provide the list of those feeders with the under-frequency relays and all the levels and the settings that be in place prior to the 12.
Okay, ganito na lang. Saan feeder belong yung planta na bumagsak noong alas 12 noong January ito? Saan feeder? At ano ang voltahe ng transmission line na yan? Eh dapat memorize mo yun, ikaw yung hindoon eh.
Yeah, for the PEDC Unit 1, Mr. Chair, is connected to the Iloilo substation, facing the B.
Ilang kilometro yung Iloilo substation to the power plant?
It's within their premises, Mr. Chair.
Within their premises. Yung protection relay na tinutukoy natin, pinag-usapan, nandiyan din nakalagay.
Mr. Chair, if we're talking about the under-frequency relays, we don't include the feeders with power plants connected. We only include the feeders.
Saan nyo nilagay yung... I'm not saying na under-frequency relay lang ha. Kasi medyo kung matandaan ko yung pinag-usapan yung grid code noon, ay hindi lang yan. Kasi mayroon tayong regulating reserve. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, ang trabaho ni regulating reserve, pag may bumagsak na planta, bababa yung frequency, sasaluhin ni regulating reserve. Eh, hindi talaga mag-trigger yun. Dahil babalik yung frequency, more or less normal. Eh, alam naman natin, ano yung plus-minus factor niya? Plus, minus, frequency natin.
Frequency is plus minus 0.3 Hz.
Okay. Plus 3 minus 3. Ay, hindi talaga pag-trigger yun dahil sinasalo ka agad ni regulating reserve. Saan yung planta na inyong kinontrata as regulating reserve? Saan siya banda?
We have in Negros and in Leyte.
Negros and Leyte. Nung bumagsak yung isang planta, nakapasok ba yung regulating ko?
Yes, there's a response for the regulation.
So, ito na tayo. Hindi ko na kayo paaminin. Kaya sinabi nyo normal. Dahil ang protection ninyo ay nakabase lang sa frequency. Isa lang yan sa mga factor eh. Probably correct pa if I'm wrong kasi alam ni probably na PE ako, engineer lang, no? Mr. Chair, no? Babalikan ko yung punto na yan. Babalikan ko kasi napaka-importante yung punto na yan kasi we are finding solution. So, second round, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Devo. Proceeding, can we hear from Honorable Defensor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have with me the presentation of NGCP, one of the slides, and it reads, proximate cause, multiple unplanned outages of power plants, no transmission issue. DOE, Transco, do you agree? Yes or no lang?
As reported po ng mga GenCos to.
Transco, do you agree that there is no transmission issue? Yes or no lang?
If I may qualify, Your Honor, kasi the transmission also would include voltage, and therefore, there is also a problem with the voltage which is connected to the
But do you agree? Proximate cause, multiple unplanned outages of power plants, no transmission issue. Do you agree?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's a good starting point for the committee, Mr. Chair, including our committee report. And for NGCP, on January 2 at 12:06, there was no significant incident notice issued and no reports to DOE, which usually receives reports every 30 minutes, every day. Can NGCP tell us why there was no significant incident notice and no reports from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon on January 2 at 12:06?
NGCP?
For the significant incident report, we have a criteria in the PGC. So yung po kasi tripping is, based on PGC, significant incident reports comprises of number 1, multiple tripping, typical generator with ALD. So yung case po kasi nito, tripping of single generator without ALD. Although dun sa part po ng PCG may nakalagay, PGC may nakalagay na some others that may be included as defined by IGMC.
Okay, Transco, do you agree?
Ano po, 2.7.
DOE, do you agree?
Again po, based doon sa mga nakalap namin information, no?
DOE and Transco disagrees. Can you tell us why there were no reports to DOE from 10:30 to 3 p.m.? NGCP.
NGCP?
Ba't nawala bigla yung mga reports every 30 minutes? Simula alas 10:30 hanggang alas 3 ng hapon.
Yes sir, are you talking the Viber update po ba?
Yes.
Opo. Regarding dun sa Viber, tingnan po natin kasi semi-automatic po yun. Kaya nung afternoon na po siya, napunta lahat kung mapansin nyo.
Yan po naniniwala doon.
Hindi po, you will be checking sir kung ba't naputol po ng 10:30.
Ngayon nyo lang i-check, ibig sabihin ilang araw na nakalipas, hindi nyo alam bakit wala kayong report sa DOE ng 5 oras? Eh may nag-shutdown ng isang planta. Nag-report lang kayo simula nung nag-multiple tripping.
Yes sir, yung tripping po is 12:06. So kung yung problem po is 10:30, I think hindi pa po siya related.
Chair, kung nagsisinungaling yan, dali mo sa final committee report ha? Okay.
Wait, Honorable Defensor, let me just medyo i-clear natin. Before that, the last message was 10:30, correct? As 10 o'clock, 9:30 nag-report sila.
They reported at 9:30, they reported at 10.
So every 30 minutes from 10 o'clock, they were reporting. But from 10 o'clock onwards till 3 p.m., no more reporting.
There are no reports from 10:30 to 3 o'clock. In fact, if I may emphasize, I personally requested in the Viber group the posting of those data.
Okay. So, Honorable Defensor, I'm just like trying to clarify. So,
that's the most crucial area.
Exactly. Although it's not really a requirement, but it's an agreement made between DOE and GCP, ERC, and all those members of the Viber group, mainly because of the incident that happened back in April. And that's the reason why they created that Viber group. So, what Honorable Defensor is just asking NGCP is, what is the reason why, how come from 10:30 till 3 p.m. there were no 30-minute updates?
For the Viber group po, actually hindi ko po masabi ngayon yung reason kung wala. Pero for the updates, upon tripping po ng mga planta, may SMS updates po separate as through SMS advisory. Every time na mag-trip na planta, nagpapadala po kami na separate. Required po kasi yun.
Mr. Chair, we could disregard the Viber group if this is not a matter of national interest. May nag-shutdown ng isang major planta na isang unit. Doon pa sila, hindi nag-report sa DOE, yung head ng industry. Diba, that's the most unlikely situation that you will not act and inform the Department of Energy.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Maybe remind our resource speaker to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Otherwise, we will be compelled to cite you in contempt. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, can I request for a written explanation from the National Grid Corporation addressed to the committee copy furnished the DOE and the ERC? Why there was no report based on their informal arrangement from 10:30 to 3 p.m.?
Yes, for NGCP to submit that report. And also, who was handling that Viber message?
Head office po sa Central Grid Operations kasi po generate po yun sa system and then i-convert po kasi to Viber. Yung generation po nun automatic. Pero yung convert...
Di ba dapat mas automatic siya? Ngayon may nangyayari na?
Yung po kasi conversion to fiber kasi po yung medium na request. Kaya i-convert po siya into fiber. Doon po sa, meron po kami Central Grid Operations. Sila po yung
Okay, so just please include the explanations in the report. Yes, Honorable Defensor.
Mr. Chair, may I request ASEC Marasigan to be heard?
Yes, DOE Asik Marasigan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm one of those monitoring this report. And just to cite how fast they can generate the report. Now it's at 12:43. The report that should have been provided was 12:30. It was posted at 12:30. So it's a matter of 8 days.
When there is no significant incident right now. Mr. Chair, we will wait for the written explanation.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, lastly, going to ERC, I understand that there was an investigation conducted for the April 2023 incident. Can I ask the ERC, what's the result of the independent investigation by ERC to address future blackouts such as the January 2 blackout?
Yes, Ma'am Di Malanta, our chairperson.
Thank you, Your Honor. The April incident was investigated by the Interim Grid Management Committee. This was the group of experts. They submitted their recommendation to the ERC. We facilitated the discussion with NGCP because all of the recommendations required actions of NGCP, including coordination with the generating plants, several simulations that were required of NGCP, of several scenarios, contingencies. And as I mentioned earlier, as of the November report of NGCP, they indicated all of these measures. Almost all, I think only one remained as completed.
So do you agree with me, by a yes or no answer, that among your recommendation that NGCP coordinate with the stakeholders, they failed to coordinate for the January 2 incident?
From the current records, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Defensor. But also, if I may ask Chairperson Di Malanta, you said that the Interim Grid Management Committee who did the investigation made simulations.
No, Your Honor, they recommended the conduct of simulations by...
But there was there any simulations done after the recommendation?
Yes, based on the report of NGCP, yes, Your Honor.
So based on their report, was that confirmed by ERC that they really did simulations?
Because in the November, it was a short report that they submitted in November. We ordered them to submit the detailed reports. They have not submitted the detailed reports.
How long was that?
November was the short report. We required them again January. January.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Di Malanta. So, proceeding, we have Honorable Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, nais ko pang balikan ang binanggit kanina ng resource person natin from Ileco 3 na if I can recall correctly, alam niyo po ay static compensator. Static bar compensator. Yes, can the resource person explain ano po ang purpose nun para din mas ma-enlighten ang committee at ating mga kababayan?
Yes, Attorney Balsobo.
Actually, Mr. Chair, Honorable Manuel, the static bar compensator is among the instruments mentioned in the grid code to control the voltage and to achieve and manage their active power to ensure integrity and security in the grid. But to make the explanation simple, this is actually a regulating a smart device instrument that must be introduced in the grid in order to ensure that in case of voltage variation brought about by any incident in the grid, the generators will not automatically trip and the integrity of the grid will be maintained.
Okay, Mr. Chair, na-mention din kanina na ang plano pa ng NGCP ay ma-set up ito by 2025. Can I confirm?
Yes, correct. This is based on our conversation with the agency people on the ground. That's why, to add Honorable Manuel, we asked them, why wait for 2025? Given that the situation right now is emergency in nature, and power security is a matter of national security, there must be a sense of urgency that this smart instrumentation must be introduced in the grid soonest.
Can we ask NGCP? How come it will be the date for the, what's that, static bar will be put in place by 2025?
Yes, sir, the target is 2025, second quarter.
Why? The question is why? Is there any other instrument that acts as a status bar, which does the same thing that is already in place? And how come it will take 2 more years before it can get installed? Yes, NGCP.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This static or STATCOM is part of our voltage improvement project. It's a project package consisting of several other reactive compensation equipment, and this is among the projects that we filed for approval. And the second quarter 2025 completion is considered the complete process. We are in the procurement stage, so the realistic completion of this STATCOM would be second quarter of 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'm curious kung meron bang kahit anumang pamamaraan na mapapabilis yan, lalo na kung binabanggit na ating mga distribution utilities na napakatagal pa bago or kuhatay natin yung nabanggit na timeline ng NGCP.
NGCP?
Mr. Chair, also this the project package is still awaiting approval before we can proceed for implementation.
Approval from?
We filed it part of our regulatory application, Your Honor.
When was the regulatory application filed? For the static bar? Or for that package?
Your Honor, it was filed in October 2022, Your Honor. Sorry, sir. I stand corrected. It was filed in December 2021, Your Honor.
December 2021 with the ERC?
My apologies. December 2020 to the ERC, Your Honor.
Honorable Manuel?
Okay. Mr. Chair, sa bahagi po ng ating mga distribution utilities, ano po briefly, ano ang direct impact ng ganitong katagal na wala pa rin itong static bar compensator na dapat ay meron na sanang NGCP?
Honorable Manuel, Honorable Chair, like what we have said last April incident during our technical meeting with NGCP, without this necessary equipment in the grid, which is actually required under the grid code, it would again be a matter of time before a massive blackout would again happen in Panay grid, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Another question, Mr. Chair, dahil na-mention din kanina na may iba pang mga bahagi ng grid code na hindi naman talaga nasusunod ng NGCP. So, can the resource person give a few more examples kung ano yung mga nabanggit?
Yung isa po na-mention ko kanina, with respect sa ancillary services, na-comply ba ito ng NGCP based sa grid code ko? Kasi yung nakalagay ko sa grid code, this was designed na kung masunod, yung integrity and security of the grid would be ensured. So, one thing, bakit nagkaroon ng collapse yung system natin after the tripping ng isang planta? There is a provision sa grid code how to ensure na kahit na mangyari ganitong scenario, the grid will continue to operate normally. So we are actually Honorable Manuel for ancillary services, whether utilized po ito o hindi. So yung po natin, as I have mentioned kanina, we are paying almost 1 billion pesos for 2023 alone for ancillary services for situations like this. So positive. So kung sinunod ng grid operator natin yung requirement na, for example, yung sapat sa pag-reduce reserve natin under the grid code, it should be not less than the largest operating unit sa grid natin to ensure in case na may trip yung isang generator natin, yung supply natin will remain. Kasi it will be replaced by our ancillary services, yung regulating reserves natin, yung contingency reserve natin, at saka yung dispatching reserves. These were designed to ensure the continuous operation of the grid despite untoward incidents sa grid operation, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, regarding the transmission lines naman, kasi nga based sa mga naging presentations kanina, isa sa mga na pick up natin, merong simultaneous tripping ng mga transmission lines. So Mr. Chair, addressing this question to NGCP, normal ba talaga na, kasi pwedeng may mangyari isa, ganyan. Pero ito, several transmission lines sabay-sabay. So, yan ba ay isang scenario na aasahan natin ay parang mangyari lang in ordinary time? Or meron pang nakikitang trend doon, is this reflective of a deeper problem? So, can NGCP respond?
Yes, for this one, there's a possibility if we don't have corrective improvements, and may I say, Mr. Chair, that these improvements are not limited only to transmission. It could also be in the generation and the other players in the industry. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, mula dun sa sagot, kasi dahil nga ang buong problem naman, it involves multiple entities hindi naman pwedeng kung meron tayong papel doon sa naging problema, sisihin lang natin yung iba. Mr. Chair, tingin natin ito ay naging isang epekto ng kung gaano ka deregulated ngayon ng ating electricity or yung paano natin ina-ensure ang kuryente para sa ating mga kababayan. Kasi based sa ganitong response, still ini-insist ng NGCP na or hanggang ngayon hugas kamay pa din siya, Mr. Chair, kahit na hinihingi natin talaga yung maayos na mga sagot for us to really move forward. Now, Mr. Chair, balik dun sa isa ding na-mention kanina, paano magiging mas equitable ang inaalaw na capacity among distribution utilities kapag may mga ganitong nangyayari. So, meron po bang maimumungkahi sa komite ang mga like co-op natin? Kasi nga, kung sino yung pwedeng 50%, sino yung 50%, ganyan. Meron ba mga pamantayan in mind na pwede nang may recommend?
Actually, Honorable Manuel,
Attorney Baso, for an orderly conduct, please wait until I recognize you before you.
I apologize.
Yes. That will already be your last question, Honorable Manuel. Yes, Attorney Baso, if you can answer.
Actually, Honorable Chair, Honorable Manuel, we have submitted our recommendations with the NEA together with our narrative report, which we believe were also forwarded to the DOE. And among our recommendations there is for the updating of the UFR, the under frequency release settings ng NGCP. Usually it is the NGCP na nagsiset po nito. In case magkaroon ng imbalance between supply and demand, sila based upon sa automatic load dropping, sino ba yung mauna, second yung mga priorities. These are all set by the NGCP and they should be periodically updated, Honorable Manuel. Kasi hindi naman pwede na yung last dito sa priority will remain last. So dapat may nagkaroon siya ng rotational na schedule. Yun yung nangyayari. But right now, to the best of our knowledge, hindi po kami na-update regarding this schedule of UFR from the grid operator natin.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think Yusek Sharon would want to add something.
I just wanted to add on the transmission side, kung ano yung, because we've been mentioning the Cebu Negros Panay. The Cebu Negros Panay, just to update the honorable members, it was originally scheduled 2020. And now it has been moved 10 times. Time of completion, 10 times na. And when the April 2023 blackout happened, NGCP committed, I think in public pa, in Congress also, that they will finish on August 2023. Tapos, nangyari to. But the next commitment, the 10th commitment is, yes, March 2024. In addition to the CNP project, there are 13 or 12 other projects that even if you have a strong backbone, but your substations are not upgraded, then hindi ma-maximize din yun. And I can give the committee a list of all these Western Visayas projects na iba dyan 5 times na na-delay, 4 times, iba pa for the future pa. But there are basic 12 or 13 projects that I think siguro yan one solution just to make sure that it doesn't happen again is to fast track this and review the TDP and the scheduling just to check. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. That the reason usually is right of way and permit. But I've been meeting with NGCP and all the agencies concerned. By December na last year pala, our last meeting with our transmission committee, there is no permitting, no right of way issues anymore. It's a matter of NGCP completing the construction nowadays.
Okay, thank you, Yusek Sharon. The committee will be waiting for the list of transmission projects that have been delayed and have not been completed yet. Continuing, we have Honorable Goriseta.
Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask, this question is for NGCP. And you still stand with your commitment and as promised that the Cebu Negros Panay Phase 3 backbone matatapos by March. Kasi even the governor, kami lahat, in our interviews, sinasabi is 3 months from now. So 3 months is approximately fast approaching as what Yusek Sharon mentioned earlier. So do you still stand with your earlier pronouncement na matatapos by end of March?
Yes, NGCP.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we stand to that commitment.
Thank you for that. Also, my next question is for the SO. Yung sa SO, ilan pa kayo nagmaman sa Visayas na SO room? Ikaw lang mag-isa or tatlo?
Mr. Chair, for the dispatchers, there are 3 in the control room. One is for the transmission, one is for generation, and the other one is the grid dispatch manager.
Okay, thank you. Because baka meron dito language barrier within central office dito or sa inyo, with all due respect sa inyo. But anyway, nakita ko rin as what Congressman Dagook and Congressman Defensor mentioned, with all due respect to Professor Del Mundo, that either we should revisit the grid code or baka hindi lang sinusunod, it's not being followed. And also I've noticed yung NGCP parang hindi rin recognize yung DOE, no, as their regulating body, no, in some way, no, in some way, and even ERC na hindi kayo nag-communicate, you don't work hand in hand, no? Parang walang, parang may ganon eh, may missing lag, may missing, malaking lag within you and sila, no? So, sana maayos ito, no? Because we cannot continue doing this pag walang answerable, no? So, siguro yun lang, Mr. Chair. And lastly, yung sa sinabi ni GM Attorney Balsomo, siguro masama na natin yan that we are paying yung ancillary services, malaki yung bayad natin for the Cebu Negros Panay Phase 3, plus yung recommendation, no? So, siguro baka pwede natin yan kukunin, kasi until now hindi pa na-deliver yung mga sinasabi nito na mga electric cooperatives, at the same time yung mga stakeholders na dapat matatapos ito kasi pass on to eh, nagbabayad na yung mga tao, and if ever siguro we demand a refund for those who were affected in this 4-day power blackout. Yun na lang siguro yung pwede natin mabigay na konsuelo sa kanila. So that would be all, Mr. Chair, and thank you, my dear colleagues here in the House.
Thank you, Honorable Goriseta. Continuing, we recognize Honorable Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. So, i-follow ko lang po yung question ni Rep. Manuel kanina about doon sa stat po, so that NGC submitted for approval sa ERC ng 2022. So, ano po ba yung time frame para ma-approve ito ng ERC? Kasi ayon sa DU, importante po ito, no, to prevent future na blackouts or whatever na yan.
Yes, ERC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pina-check ko nga po, narinig ko po yung statement po ng NGC. Pina-check ko po yung status. The filings were made in 2022 with other Visayas Voltage Improvement Project. It's under evaluation po, pero we'll bump this up, we'll accelerate the review. Lalo na po yung may isa dun sa mga filings na yun, naka 99% completion na naman sila. So mukhang umaandar na po yung isang project. So we'll fast track po the review para po mailabas na po yung approval.
Yes. Ay, kasi, Mr. Chair, parang natatagalan po kasi ako doon sa 2025 na target na completion. Kasi kung nire-reason nila kayo, tinuturo kayo dahil kayo po hindi rin kayo, hindi nyo rin napaka-fast track. Tingin ko, yung pag-approve. So, pwede nating maiusog yung target nila na 2025 first quarter. So, ano po pa, Mr. Chair, yung time frame ng ERC to approve that?
Yes, ERC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yung pong cases na nabanggit ko, the team just committed now na matatapos po yung evaluation within the month, so pwede po namin isalang for approval by next month. Pero ang gusto ko lang pong i-highlight, even the completion period or the construction period, it's really based on NGCP's time frame. So in their application po, ang nilagay na po talaga nila doon sa time frame ay more than 2 years na construction period. So, baka, hindi ko lang po alam kung kaya po ng NGCP from the time we issue the approval na agahan pa po yung
TRC. So, ano pong masasabi ng NGCP? Can you make it earlier? Baka pwedeng end ng 2024 or earlier than that. Kung halimbawa, matatapos within the year, yung sinasabing pag-approve. So, can you yung target ninyo, pwede nyo bang gawin earlier?
Yes, Attorney Abdul.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question, Congresswoman Castro. Yes, we will revisit our timeline. And if possible, we will compress the dates between now and the second quarter of 2025 for us to finish the project earlier. But again, I also would like to go back to the statement of Chair Mona de Malanta that, in fact, we have already started the implementation of the project, even if this has still to be approved by years. So with that, that would already strongly indicate our eagerness to finish the project ahead of time. So as to the request, whether we can finish the project earlier than the original target date, that we will revisit the timeline. We can compress some activities in order to finish the project. We are willing to sit down with the cooperatives on this matter.
Yes. Yes, Honorable Castro.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Kailangan natin kahit pa paano makapagkuha tayo ng resolution, ma-resolve itong part sa ito dahil ito yung recommendation ng mga nag-BU, no? To prevent yung mga future na problems natin sa blackout. Next, kasi po dito sa Luzon, particular sa Metro Manila, Mr. Chair, pag nagkakaroon ng generation deficiency, nagkakaroon ng ALD at saka yung MLD para masalba yung grid at hindi mag-total blackout. Pero bakit po kaya sa Iloilo at Panay hindi ito nagawa ng ng NGCP? Kasi kung nagagawa dito sa Metro Manila, hindi po total. Kapag manual po, di ba, nagkakaroon ng rotational brownout. Pag automatic, ito, system, system, naka-embed na yon sa system, o program na, kumbaga. So, automatic muna, bago manual. So, bakit hindi ko yun nagagawa? Kasi natatakot po ako, Mr. Chair, pag nangyari, katulad na nangyari sa Panay, dito sa Metro Manila, talagang grabe talagang disaster ang mangyayari. Kaya kailangan natin tanungin, bakit nagagawa ito sa Metro Manila at hindi niyo nagawa doon sa Panay Island?
Yes, NGCP.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Nung 12:06 po, nung nawala po yung PEDC Unit 1, bumabaran po yung generation, pero po nakakonect po yung Panay sa Negros, and kahit po yung Luzon, nagbigay din po sa Visayas via the HPDC. So, kaya po yung system during that time, itinatawag ng operating margin, yun po yung sobra sa supply kumpara sa demand, nasa acceptable level pa rin po, kaya po normal. So yun po yung reason bakit po kami hindi implement ng MLD or manual load dropping or yung rotational problem po ang impact.
Mr. Chair, di ba nangyari na yan nung last time? Di ba? Hindi lang naman ito nung tayo nangyari sa January. So ano ba yung pagkakaiba nung last time na nangyari yung brown out sa lugar as compared to sa January na blackout? So ganun din po ba yung ginawa nito? Kasi alam ko parang nagkaroon din kayo ng MLD.
Nung yung last time po, bale, after po ng pagkalas ng isang planta, so cascading na po mismo, maramihan na po agad yung bumalas na planta. Yung ngayon po, yung pagkakaiba, nung 12:06, isang planta pa lang po yung nagka-unplanned shutdown, PDC Unit 1. And normal pa rin po yun until 14:19 or 2:19 PM po, kung saan doon na po yung maraming planta, actually po lahat po ng online na planta sa Panay nawala. So after po dyan, doon po ngayon nag-implement ng unti-unting pag-restore. So doon po na-experience nung nire-restore na po yung system, kasi pati po yung mga loads nawala din po. So kapag pumapasok na po yung ibang planta, doon po rin namin ina-accommodate yung mga loads. So doon po sa period na yun, after 14:19 or 2:19 PM, or actually 3:07 PM, nung nawala totally yung Panay. After po noon, nung nag-restore, doon po na-experience yung limited na accommodation ng mga loads.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So, that is very technical. So, ano ba yung dapat na nakapigil sa ganong pangyayari? Kung kayo po yung hindi niyo na-control yung situation, pero ano tingin mo yung pwede makapigil sa ganong sitwasyon?
Yes. Opo. Una po, yung mga nagkahanda po yung grade sa N-1, yung sa N-1, kapag po nawala yung isang, let's say, planta, isang unit. Yung nangyari po ng 2:19 PM, hindi lang po isang planta yung nawala. Marami po. So, lahat po impact na online sa Panay. So, ang tanong po, paano po kayo makakasurvive ang system?
Mr. Chair, sabi niya, Mr. Chair, maraming planta ang nawala. So bakit maraming planta ang nawala? So anong naging reason?
Pero yung sinasabi lang, Honorable Cosmetic NGCP just saying that nawala yung first plant yung PDBC 1. That was yung nag-trigger na sa inyo naging -1. Is that correct? The condition. And then, the way I'm seeing the situation, within 2 hours, the reason why NGCP was not moving was because based on what they presented, it was still in a normal state. And that's the reason why I guess NGCP didn't do anything. And all of a sudden, bumili ng PCPC, which was hiningan ng NGCP na iangat yung MR nila para ma-regulate yung voltage at frequency so that hindi masyado magulo yung grid. So, since bumagsak yung PCPC na nag-regulate yung voltage at frequency, sunod-sunod yung units. Hindi na kinayanan na ito. That's how I understood what NGCP was explaining.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is technically normal. There's a definition in the grid code. And I hope that we can base it there. Because if it is normal, then you don't do anything. But is it normal technically under the grid code, which is the Bible of all its operators?
Exactly.
And the experts here are here.
Exactly. That's what I was going to ask during my time of questioning. Yes, please continue.
So yun na nga po, tinatanong ko kanina, bumigay yung mga planta, and then kampante po ang NGCP na walang mangyayari. Pero normal po ba na normal na isipin na walang mangyayari kung ganon? Kasi kung ano po ba yung definition natin ng sinasabi natin na normal? So, kung sinasabi natin na malaki pa rin ang mahaba, mataas pa rin ang supply as regard dun sa demand. So, ano ba yung margin na dapat kabahan tayo kahit na normal yung situation? Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair, doon po sa kanina, in-explain ko pong operating margin. Meron pong prescribed levels doon. Ito po masabi ko.